it's part of their culture. Wouldn't you agree that it's easier to be in an environment like that and be more creative?
Yeah, and people ask me, says, Madan, we have got product to deliver, things to do. I said, yeah, certainly any business, they have services and product they have to deliver every day. FedEx has to deliver on time every morning. Customer doesn't care you brought on time 6 months ago. But then as the organization, FedEx made sure that we allow time for today as well as tomorrow. And all this, what I'm thinking is where we are going to take the company. So we ask the question every year that how is FedEx better this year as compared to a year ago in serving the customer? How, and getting back to your listener, that each employee, so when I went for my performance review with my boss, I would say one page I would take to Lenny. I said, how is Madan more valuable to FedEx this year than a year ago? Not just I'm a year older and give me more money, but because I have more knowledge and I participated in evaluating more ideas or gaining acceptance or implementation of the ideas. So it is making sure that, I'm taking time out and, connecting these dots and making them visible, to my superiors.
If you're not you don't have the good fortune of working in an organization that fosters this creativity, what are some ways that you can foster it within your team or, within your department? So, because creativity, I would think, is also influenced by ideas and thoughts of others. It kind of sparks your imagination. It triggers it so that you work off of each other. It doesn't have to be a solitary thing that you do in the shower, to take some creative time. So do you have some tips on how we can do that within our own department if there isn't that kind of a structure?
Right. And you made an excellent point, Bonnie, that when we talk about connecting dots, the dots don't have to be all in our head. The beauty of the brain is that it can go across brain. And Bernard Shaw said, if you and I have an apple and we exchange apple, we are still left with one apple each. But if I have an idea, you have an idea, and we share the idea, now each one of us have two ideas. We got, two dots now. So you are right. I mean, because in today's world, it doesn't matter how smart the person is, only so many hours in the day. So the group getting together and sharing thoughts. So how do you are right. I mean, ideally, and every CEO you look at that, people are our most valuable asset, and we have innovation culture at GE or IBM or Hewlett-Packard or Google or Facebook. But you are right. I mean, it comes down to when I do a survey in a company, they would say, yeah, Madan, I agree, and CEO talks about it in a video. But my boss, he doesn't like somebody challenging him,
Right.
And he doesn't like, new ideas, things are working well. So that's where this innovation is a three-step process. It is generating, gaining acceptance, and implementation of ideas that enhance customer value. So generating ideas certainly would be ideal if we had the senior management support. Like I'm starting to work with St. Jude Hospital in Memphis. I'm helping them develop this innovation culture. And, St. Jude is a global icon, and, they do wonderful work in children's cancer treatment all over the world. And so I think let's start with a small group. And so now we understand that, we need to, in our staff meeting or whatever, of 10 people, 8 people, or if I have a project team so I get the group together and say, okay, first let us find out, everything about the problem we are trying to solve. And once you put that total process on the wall, the flow chart or information, and you just stare at it, the creative ideas will jump at you. They will say, why are we doing it this way? What if we connect this? what if we take this process? So you can start at your level, but then talking about the boss who is not receptive to the idea. I was giving you an example earlier in our conversation that certainly, in a business world, any idea you have, it impacts 5 other departments. They have to be all involved. It is raw when it first comes out. They have to develop it. So getting those people on board is a people skill, which most of the tech people, they just think if I got the Excel spreadsheet and I got the flow chart, they should jump on it. No, because change, even though intellectually we all understand that we need to change, but at an emotional level it is uncomfortable. So the key is, and that is the other model in the book, ELSC, who else do I need on my team, is how do you get people on board with your ideas, including your boss? And the simple thing is, when you go in, don't just present everything finished and say, let's say your boss is Mike. He says, Mike, I've been thinking about this, and you know more about this than I do, because everybody has ego. So you have to learn to build his ego, and I need your help. So once you say that, now people are willing to engage in the idea you have, and you make it, instead of my idea, you make it our idea. I mean, it is, you would say, Madan, why don't we? Well, this is human. This is politics. This is how the corporate world works. And people will find out, who really had the original idea. And I use a story in my book. In fact, on the very first page, a few years ago, I was in the FedEx headquarters dropping a check for cashing stock option. And I left FedEx for 5 years. And Fred Smith steps in the elevator, and he said, Madan, how are you doing? I said, Fred, I'm doing well. And to make a small talk, I said, Fred, I saw you at the Memphis Tigers game, our basketball team. He said, I go to some game. And I said, Fred, I need to thank you. He said, for what? I said, the only thing doing well in my portfolio is FedEx stock. Everything else has been going down. And he looked at me, he says, Madan, to have confidence in FedEx stock, you helped design the system. So, that's why I'm holding on to FedEx stock. So the point I want to make is that management remembers who, had the ideas, and he as a leader, even I'm not working for FedEx, I'm retired, he still makes it a point to compliment me for the difference I made when I was there. So that's what I would suggest to your listener is yes, I'm not trying to sell the book, but there is a people skill. How do you gain acceptance even in an environment where management is not that supportive of, innovation and creativity?
And I think part of that is when you when you tap into what's really important for the organization, and you come up with this what if thinking, right? When you develop ideas around that, it definitely leads to success that you don't necessarily have to go promoting. The success that you and your team have accomplished for the business, becomes something like that's definitely a part of the organization going forward.
Exactly.
I mean, I think
and people would know who came up with the original idea. And
well, I think you need to talk about it. I think you need to talk about the accomplishments of your team, and because the organization can then benefit from that project or that success. Otherwise, they can't leverage.
The manager who was not that supportive and not a leading for innovation kind of a guy, but you are making him look good because he came with the idea. And he will be your biggest supporter. He'll be the one asking you, Becky, what do you think? We are looking at this. And that's the reputation you build yourself, with these small changes and improvement. You are the creative problem solver. And management looks at you when they are looking for somebody to run this quality action team or this new product introduction or.
Okay. Well, Madan, we need to take a short break now. But everybody, please stay tuned. For our last segment, I'm going to discuss with Madan about the time to think, taking the time to think, and his ideas around nature and how to use nature. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute.
Succeeding in today's business environment requires focus and intention. Executive coaching services help you to assess what's working in your life and career, address what might be holding you back from reaching your leadership potential, and provide you with the practical tools to tackle current business challenges and opportunities. With the Career Acceleration Coaching Program, Bonnie assists you with navigating the corporate environment for career success. Embrace and effectively use politics in your organization to accelerate your career. Identify your value proposition and learn to confidently communicate how your work benefits the organization. Create credibility and visibility for yourself as a leader in the workplace, and much, much more. Coaching services are customized to meet your specific needs and goals and are delivered in 3, 6, 9, and 12-month packages. For more information on executive coaching or to schedule a complimentary 30-minute session, please call 774-563-8176 or email info@thepoliticsofpromotion.com.
Want to know where you can hear GPS Your Career with Bonnie Marcus? Well, that's easy. You can tune in to Bonnie via Clear Channel's iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, and at bmajor.org. Now, back to Bonnie Marcus and GPS Your Career.
This is Bonnie Marcus, and my guest today is Madan Birla, author of Creativity and Innovation, 9 Lessons from Nature for Enterprise Growth and Career Success. And we've been talking about how to tap into our creativity and how to use what-if thinking for your approach to business and also to help you to advance your career. And in this last segment, I'd really like to discuss with Madan how we really can use the time valuably, how we can really take time to be creative. I know, Madan, that you often talk about tapping into nature. So how do we do that? How do we get off the busy treadmill of our lives and our work and tap into nature so that we are really unfolding, discovering this creativity within us?
I got into nature, Bonnie, when I moved to Memphis, and my kids were 2 and 6 years old, and I was concerned about work-life balance. And FedEx is a 24/7 operation, so when I was in Indiana with RCA, Indianapolis, I was working on my MBA in finance. So I went to University of Memphis. Business school said, Madan, we got an excellent program. We transfer your credit. And I said, my interests have changed. Even though I design systems for a living, I'm more interested in why do we make the life choices we do. So I had meeting with several deans. So the dean of counseling said, Madan, we got a perfect program for you. So he designed a program in counseling psychology. I took courses in marriage and family, social development, human development and aging, marriage and family counseling. And so I found that while studying human nature, and I was always interested in, state parks and nature at large, that all living things, all living systems have some common principle which drive them. So one basic principle is that all living things have a need to grow. So if the tree is not growing, it is dying. If the organization is not creating new value, it is going to lose market share. And we can look at examples of BlackBerry or Xerox or the same thing at a human level. That the reason we get bored doing the same task for 5 years is unless we are being challenged and growing, it is not fulfilling. So then you say that the nature of living things is to grow, and they grow best when they exist in a balanced environment. So the tree needs the moisture and the soil and the oxygen and the sun. So similarly, so I look at that, and the second thing in nature you see is that it is not the strongest species that have survived in the nature. It is the things which have adapted to the changing environment. So same thing in organization and at a personal level that, as the world is changing and technology in our profession